Hello everyone! So today I wanted to give a little bit of attention to this Ace Beauty palette. I was going through all of my palettes in my drawer and I just thought, do you know what, I need to give this a bit more TLC. So I have actually already done a swatch video, but I just feel like it was a bit too long. It is a very in-depth one because I show you it with different types of sort of textures to swatch with. But I personally quite like doing swatch videos like this, so I'm pretty much just going to give you a general all-rounder of how the palette performed. So in terms of this palette, there are more mattes than there are shimmers and equally perform just as good as each other. What I also really like about this palette, other than the pigmentation and the quality of the shadows, is that they're really buttery and easy to work with, but also the palette has been set out so that you can sort of get a bit of inspiration from the different little quadrants and generally like how the palette has been set up. You'll also probably see me switch brushes in between these. So this brush here is a really soft, fine brush, and I feel like it didn't work well with picking up the product. So I feel like you need an eyeshadow brush that is a little bit thicker. So like this, the fibers on this brush are a little bit thicker and a bit more dense, and they're a bit more closely packed together rather than being generally fluffy. So I think this palette would be really good for somebody who is quite a big fan of colour, but not super neon shades. I feel like you can get really beautiful, colourful looks from this palette. I would say that the shades are a bit more muted, so like the blues, they're not as luminous. They're really deep, rich and slightly muted, so you're not going to have that sort of neon look. But also I wanted to mention as well, with the shimmers, I did apply them with this brush, but I also found that using the texture of my fingers worked really well, and that's just generally how I apply my eyeshadow anyway. Okay, so these are the swatches for the whole palette. It's really fun. The formula is beautiful. There's a really wonderful array of shades in here. So I'm now going to get on with the little tutorial. So my go-to is kind of like this really nice rustic orange sunset look. I don't know why that come to my head. What a strange mix of descriptions. But what I'm doing is just sort of applying a little bit of concealer and then going into Acorn, which is a really deep dark brown. Now I'm packing this into the outer third of my eye and I'm sort of concentrating most of the product here because when I come to blend it very shortly, you find that sort of the product blends really well into the rest of the eye and it gives you sort of this really soft light brown shade. I would really recommend taking your time to blend this as well because dark browns they can look a little bit muddy, I guess. So what I'm doing is adding I think it's cider and pumpkin. I'm mixing them two together and sort of buffing this out because it acts as a really good transition shade and it helps to disperse the colour. So then I'm taking that dark brown again and just going back in and replacing any colour that's sort of, lost its pigmentation, but also just to deepen up the crease area as well, but just making sure that it fuses really well with pumpkin and cider, and of course giving it one big blend. So for the base shade, I'm taking Firefly, and I think this might just be my favourite shade in the whole palette. This is beautiful. Now, I think I go in with my finger to sort of add the product and to sort of blend it a bit better, but this brush works really well at getting a lot of sort of specific, like a specific shape to it, I guess. But look how beautiful this shade is, and it is so creamy. And then just to fuse the dark brown and the Firefly shade, I'm taking Mirage, which is like a raspberry toned shimmer. It's the exact same formula as Firefly, but I just like how it's sort of blended into this pink shade and then deepens up with the darker brown. And very lastly, I'm going back into that dark brown just to add, it's almost like my finishing touch, just adding the dark brown shade in because it says to me that my whole look on the upper lid is done. So I'm also taking it on my lower lash line as well, and I think I go in and blend it with the yellow and the orange, and I've completely, cider and pumpkin, there you go. For my liquid liner, I'm going in with my NYX matte liner, and this is just my Ride or Die. I love this so much. It is so easy to work with, and I'm just lining my eyes for lashes. I'm not going to go in and do any sort of, you know, crazy eyeliner. I just want something to sort of frame the eyes. And along with that, I'm also taking my mascara. This is the 5D Lash from Makeup Revolution, and this is also my other Ride or Die. I love this so much. It's the only mascara that has worked exactly how I wanted it to, in terms of like adding volume and length, and also spacing my lashes out as well. I'm also wanting to make sure that I've added sort of a bit of lightness to my eyes, so I'm just going to go in with a white kohl pencil and line my eyes, and then just go back over with mascara, because it can often transfer to my bottom lashes. And for my lashes, I think these are from Be Perfect. I'm not sure, but I'm just adding those on to complete the look, and I wanted it super fanned out and fluttery and dramatic at the same time. So this was the final look. I really love it, and I think it goes really well with blue eyes, but also other shades, tones, whatever. So thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you in my next video. Bye.